Fractured Stories. Of all the things I had seen during my time as a field agent, that house truly took the cake. Up to this point, it had cost us several agents, and after all that, we still had no idea how the house was affecting them, or if it was even a house at all. The split level house itself was old. It was probably constructed sometime during the 60s, and with that said, it had held up decently well. The property was 600 acres, and if I had to wager a bet, I think it'd make pretty good farmland. It's just so nice looking. It sits atop a modest hill, you have the sun beaming down, and nothing but rolling green as far as the eye can see. The effects were random, taking longer or shorter depending on unknown variables. However long it may take, it always affects them at an equal pace. Once we had 2 agents take up residency inside the house, 1 man and 1 woman. Their objective was to search the house and determine the source, if any, of the effects, and also gauge how long it takes for them to fall under the effects. They were inserted at the edge of the property, from where they continued on foot. Later on, they contacted us and confirmed entry into the house. It was roughly 3 weeks of regular communications, then silence. This quiet persisted for another week before we went in. Once we had made contact with the agents, everything was different. The 2 agents were now a couple. I stood in that doorway at a loss for words. I couldn't address the agents because they didn't even remember us or anything having to do with their previous lives. They looked us over with curious eyes, and that is when I had to act. I stated we were with the inspector's office and were there to make sure the house was up to code. Thankfully, they obliged and let us in. After I crossed that threshold, everything hit me at once. The earlier reports we had gotten was that the exterior of the house was in good condition, save for the interior, which was reported to be in dire need of repair. What I saw wasn't a house in need of anything. The whole of the inside had been repaired. It was a far cry from the pictures we had received. While we conducted our act, I got to talking with the man of the house. He explained how he and his wife were high school sweethearts, they were engaged, and expecting their first child. Again, this had only been roughly a month between losing contact and us making contact face to face. In that time, they had completely lost their previous selves. I knew this the second the front door opened. I was their superior officer after all. After we left, I sat in the back of the SUV racking my head. This one was going to be a strange one, I thought to myself. That house, it's not natural. Not the walls that held it up, or the ground it sat on. I presented my report to my superiors and I just waited. Right then, that was my only assignment. And even now, I still think back to it. I'll occasionally call a friend who was there and... Still they have nothing. That is 3 agents we lost to that damn place. 1 ripped apart and 2 others God knows what. I remember I stayed up all night with the surveillance crew and watched the silent house. There were never any lights, nor any sightings of them exiting the house. It was quiet as a tomb. The only activity we had was when we regained contact with them, but by then they weren't our agents anymore. We didn't even pick up anything on our mics. We tested to ensure they were working. We grabbed all sounds from the nearby highway and from the local animal life. But when we trained them back on the house, everything on the line went flat. It was a quiet of which I had never experienced. A loud silence. A break within the norm so out of place and was felt by everyone on site, and everyone knew what the other was thinking. I was hesitant to return, much less send anyone else in my stead. The first time we attempted an investigation of the house, everything went wrong. I sent in 2 agents and only barely got 1 back. This was before we sent the man and the woman. This was the first one. We reviewed the headcam footage of what happened. They were taken by surprise by some unseen force, and immediately Operator 3 was targeted. He was thrown into a wall, then he was forced into it. As if the wall and jagged planks were rows of teeth within a hungry beast. Operator 1 made it out by the skin of his teeth. But like I said, it wasn't without injury. He has been retired from the agency for obvious reasons. We have maintained a mobile cordon around the house since we last ventured through its front door, before I was rotated out to handle other cases abroad. We had an incident. We had originally thought that the effects of the house were effective no further than the walls of the house, but we learned otherwise. It seemed like another routine night, just watching the house. We were on comms with a new team inbound to the cordon. That was when everything went dark. It was dead silent for a minute. You could hear a heartbeat. Then a trash can just flew across the floor for seemingly no reason. Then it hit me. I quickly ordered everyone out of the room and outside the cordon. I wanted them as far away as possible. But it was too late. We were in its zone of influence. I watched as one of the officers was slammed into the floor and was forced through its creases. I saw another strangled by computer wire. I was thrown against the wall of my own command bunker. Luckily, my mark was able to save me, but not my colleagues. I watched everyone I was charged with keeping safe killed right in front of me, and everyone else. I ran out of there, and when I linked up with the reinforcements, I warned them away. Nowadays, we have a system in place to warn us of an expansion of its influence. I wish we had that. Look, if you want answers, just ask me. Don't go there. They won't even let you in. Not because it's classified or anything, but because it's for your own safety. Damn that house. What is wrong with it? Hey everybody, it is your good friend the Musical Pumpkin, and thank you for getting all the way to the end of the video. I would like to say big thanks to you, and also big thanks to Myuu Music for letting me use the tunes that you heard in this video. I will be leaving a link to his website as well as his YouTube channel in the video description. And aside from that, thank you for listening to the 15th episode of the Fractured Stories. Can't wait to see you in the next one, and again, big thanks. This was your good friend the Musical Pumpkin, watching over your pumpkin patch. Happy spoopy season, and you stay spoopy. Stay up, folks.